Started. I'm going to kill the audio, fellas, because I don't want to play audio out.
This is the red. This is the red.
It is time for the typical Boro podcast. Bandy together with Dicko and a special guest. Boys, I'll throw it over to you.
All right, welcome to the Typical Boro podcast live. Obviously tonight we are live on the Red Radio. We are live on the Typical Boro YouTube channel, and alongside me I have the ever-present Mr. Graham Bandera. Evening, Bandy.
Evening, you all right?
You all right? And because we're on the Red, of course, it would be rude not to have Davey lad, the legend that is Dave Roberts, as our guest tonight. You all right, Dave?
Legend in my own living room, mate, I'm telling you.
Because we're live,
You all right, pal?
Bandy, good to see you, mate. Great stuff.
Andrew, mate.
Because we're live tonight, obviously we're going to get your comments in, please. Dave's going to read them out as the show goes on. I'm sure there's plenty of things to get off your chest regarding the game last night against Sunderland. So I'm furious, Bandy's furious. I'm sure you lot are listening and watching. So we'll get right into it, Bandy. Start with the team news. I thought that was an interesting bit of news last night. It was 5 changes by Michael Carrick in for his debut. Come Mark Travers, Ryan Giles come in, Morgan Whittaker for his debut, George Edmondson and Marcus Forss started up front. Other news was Tommy Conway was back on the bench, and Samuel Illing Jr. from Aston Villa was a surprise inclusion in the squad. But the key point and the talking points for me at the match, Bandy, sitting in the fan zone, was Dale Fry benched for George Edmondson and no Ben Doak available. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, as soon as there was a little rumour flying around that Dork was injured, and I thought that's too bad to be true, but it turned out that he was injured, and I think Carrick had alluded to it. He felt something in his thigh, so whether he's out for a week or 2 or 3, that's irrelevant now. We've got to move on. It is sickening because he's the catalyst for me for everything that we do well. So we recovered well. You know, Whittaker took his chance. He had a good sort of first 25, half an hour, and then he faded badly. But in terms of the team selection, I was very, very disappointed to see Fry excluded and Edmondson brought in. Not Edmondson's biggest fan, and it proved on the night that it was a costly mistake, really. So part of that defeat was on Carrick in terms of his team selection. Happy with Travers starting. You're going to buy your keeper that's better than the ones you've got. Chuck him in there and tell him to get on with it. I thought he did a good job, despite letting 3 goals in. Not much you could have done about any of them, to be fair. Giles, obviously, a disastrous debut. However, we've got to move on from that. It was an unfortunate and cruel deflection, but I did think it was a bright spark in that first 25 going down that left-hand side. Put a couple of tantalising crosses in. So, yeah, team selection was acceptable. I thought he would go Forss up front. Bergzog's been lively on that left-hand side, and I think he deserves to stay in there. So, yeah, and it proved fruitful for him because he got a fantastic goal. So a bit of a mixed bag, but all in all, positive team selection, barring the Fry exclusion.
Dave, you were at the Stack with Higgy last night. What was the thoughts around the fan zone when the team news come out?
Well, it was confirming what we'd managed to pick up a little bit earlier. We'd picked up that Doak was injured and it's 4 to 6 weeks. That's what we picked up. That's what was also doing the rounds on social media. So we were just waiting for the team news to come out because obviously the Boro, Michael Carrick particularly now, always plays his cards very close to his chest. You know, Tommy Conway was taken off for a precautionary little bit of tightness felt in the hamstring. And how many games did he miss? You know, that's how Boro are this day and age. They don't talk publicly about their injuries. So we were all saying when that team news comes out, that'll confirm whether these rumours about Doak are correct or not. And that's my fear, is we might be missing him now to 4 to 6 weeks. I know Carrick's come out and said it could be a couple of weeks. I think that's him playing it down. Other than that, I was glad to see Travers. I was glad to see Travers in the starting 11. He had to be. I was glad to see Giles in the starting 11. He had to be. What a shame at the end. Yeah, so it gave me a little bit of hope. But how many false storms do we have with the Boro? But like you guys, I thought Dale Fry's done particularly well since he's come back from his long-term layoff. And I was really surprised to see him not there at the heart of the defence.
Yeah, I think it was a costly mistake by Michael Carrick. I mean, he's a local lad, Dale Fry as well, knows what the Derby game's about. I think you can't emphasise enough how important local lads are on games like last night. Look at Hayden Hackney. His form's been up and down this season, but last night I thought he was absolutely a colossus in the midfield, tremendous, got an assist, got a goal, had a really good performance by Hayden Hackney. And I just feel Dale Fry would have produced similar on the night. but it wasn't to be. Middlesbrough went down 3-2 as we know. Bergzorg in 11 minutes. Lucas and 09, was it Neil? 09 scored the equaliser in 33. Hackney got one back in. Dan Neil, that was it.
Dan Neil. Yeah,
Dan Neil, sorry, yeah. I should have remembered that because of his celebration in front of us. Then obviously Wilson and Sador gets them back in front.
Funny one on that one.
Go on, Dave.
We put a quick call through to Darren Williams, who is the master
Hello,
of
Dad. Good lad.
cupping the ears when he scores against the Boro. And we phoned him up just an hour before we started live at Stack, because me and Iggy thought, let's get him in and we can poke fun at him as Boro takes Sunderland apart. Thankfully, he couldn't make it. But then I saw the celebration in the Riverside. It's like it was just Darren Williams reborn, the sod.
Yeah, it was. As I say, it was. I mean, it was an entertaining game for the neutral, but as a Middlesbrough supporter, it was just rinse and repeat from Michael Carrick. You know, some good moments, but we just can't defend. Can we, Bandy? The defending on the night was abysmal, wasn't it? All 3 goals.
We're past Christmas now. We're into the new year, and we're still talking about the same old failings. These failings were prevalent last season, and we never addressed it pre-season for the start of this season, and it's still going on, and it's getting worse. It's become a circus now. We're talking about the transfer window. For me, I've gone public on my Twitter feed and said the elephant in the room is being completely overlooked, and it's the defending. It's the defence. Carrick's sort of hell-bent on building this beautiful football team full of finesse and purity, yet at the back he's paying lip service to defending. It's shambolic, and the defenders that we've got, I'd argue that none of them are capable of achieving what we want to achieve as supporters and hopefully manager and chairman, because I don't believe that any of them are good enough individually or as a collective, and it's poor, really poor. And last night, again, it came to fruition. The biggest one for me last night was Edmondson trying to play offside near the halfway line, allowing Isidore just to run free and go around the keeper with consummate ease. Shambolic goal. The other 2, you could argue, were fortuitous, but Edmondson, again, his body shaped to deflect that one away from Travers into the corner. It was all wrong. We weren't set right. We didn't anticipate the ball coming out and then them sort of snatching onto it and getting shots off. We don't smell danger. That's the annoying thing for me. It's everything sort of lackadaisical, and we don't switch on quick enough to react. I thought first 20 minutes we were brilliant. So let's have a positive, because we've got to balance this out somehow. First 20 minutes we were great. For once, we came out the traps, we were quick to the ball, 150-50s, got it wide. Whittaker was lively, Alien was overlapping. We had some good chances. Force needed to score twice, but he didn't. Thankfully, we did get one. Brilliant goal. Hackney, sharp into tackle, took it off Roberts, played a beautiful through ball through for Bergzorg, and he finished it excellently. And then we needed that second. The second didn't come, and then the whole stadium seems to know what's going to happen. They got a grip of the game maybe 10 minutes before the end of the first half. And then they came out a completely different team. But they got the fortuitous goal off Neil, which set them on the way, really. The team talk was slightly different for them because they knew what they had to do. Whereas we had something slightly different, really, when we come out. I don't know what happens at half-time. I really don't. I mean, they come out like they've been on a 4-hour bloody speed awareness course or something. They just look so bored and lethargic, and Sunderland just had to come at us, and you know, the inevitable capitulation started. Thankfully, we got a goal against the run of play to equalise, and then again it was one-way traffic after that. I think they had the measure of us most of the game, probably for an hour, and we had maybe half an hour of the game. We had a good 10 minutes after we equalised, and as I say, the first 25. But barring that, no complaints. They were the better team. They were sharper, wiser, a little bit more streetwise, uglier. Did the bad things well, and we were just a little bit lacking and a bit naive.
It's a good point that Bandy makes about the half-time team talks, Dave. It reminded me a little bit of the Sheffield Wednesday game, Dave, when we were 3-0 up and we went in cruising. Then the Sheffield Wednesday manager tweaked the midfield, tweaked the tactics, worked Middlesbrough out, and then ended up getting a draw that day and could have beat we. And I feel the same happened last night, where Regis Lebris just worked Middlesbrough's tactics out. We, like Bandy says, were sharp first 20 minutes. Won the ball, were creating chances. We could have been 2 or 3 up with Marcus Force's chances to put one in a really good position. Didn't take them. And then it just seems like the opposition managers seem to work out what we're doing, tweak their tactics. We're going at half time again, Dave, and then second half, it's a different story.
Yeah, it is. And I was talking to Higgy about it. I was saying to him at half time, what do we need to do here? Because they've got themselves a foothold back in the game. I mean, they were right into it, weren't they, when the whistle went for half time? And he said, we've got to do exactly what we did in the first half, which is come out and have a go and put them under. And if we can get a second goal, then we've got something to hang on to. But we didn't, and it happens so many times. And it's been a thing about Boro's play over the last few years, hasn't it? We start slowly. To be fair, even before Carrick came in, we used to start games slowly, and the fans used to vent their spleens. But we didn't do it yesterday from the off, but we did do it in the second half. And Sunderland, back in the game, come out in the second half, they did to us what we did to them at the start of the first. They just picked up the ball, they bossed it, they controlled it, and we were chasing shadows at times.
Yeah, I totally agree. Few stats, obviously after the game. That's Middlesbrough's only second win in the last 9. It's our 10th defeat of the season. We've conceded 39 goals now, which is the most in the top 7 in the division by 10 goals. These stats don't lie. We've only won 7 of 16 home games. We've only won 17 in the last 39 home games. These stats are damning. They don't lie. And, things are going to have to change quickly for Middlesbrough to get up into that top 6. The fixtures coming up don't look particularly kind. So, Bandy, what would you be thinking, moving forward? Do Middlesbrough need to change the tactics at all? Is it the back 4 that needs to be tweaked? What would your answers be to the problems that seem to be happening week after week after week?
Well, I think first and foremost, we've got to regroup and settle on a system. We can't be chopping and changing, week upon week, because it's just there's not going to be any cohesion. Players need to sort of develop connections, understandings, a bit of telepathy. So I would try and keep a settled team, but I would start by playing my best team. We've been unfortunate all season that we've never really had opportunity to play our best team for whatever reason, whether players are out of form or players are injured. Who would have said Doak would be injured for this game? Who would have said Lath would be disappearing, pretty much on the whistle? You can't make it up. Honestly, again, it's another Boro meme. Every week there's a different injury. Riley McGree, where's he? For me, he's technically one of our best players, but we've not seen him for weeks now. Probably won't see him for months. The next time we'll see him will be probably on the TV, playing in Australia. So that's another mystery. So for me, we've got to get that settled team bedded down, know pretty much who's playing week in, week out, and stick with the formation, because it's been proven that it does work. But we've got to switch on defensively. But we've got to get by now, because we've obviously, like I said, we've paid lip service to defending in the transfer window. I know we brought Giles in, but for me, he's more of an attacking wing back or left winger than a defender. It's the same old problem. We're just going to have to limp along, because there's no alternative now. There's nobody coming through the ranks who's saying, right, I need a start, cement me in that defence, because the too inexperienced. He's not going to gamble on players like that, so he's going to have to get by with what he's got. But unfortunately, what he's got isn't good enough. It's been proven all season, it's not good enough. I'll say it again, individually and collectively, they're not good enough. So I don't know how we go forward. We're just going to have to limp along and see the season out and hope that we can outscore teams, because we always will give a goal away, or 2, or sometimes 3. So,
Dave will get some.
You're asking me the impossible question: how do we go forward? It's like we don't at the moment.
And that seems to be the view on social media as well. There's a lot of views, a lot of comments on Facebook, particularly. Kristen Lamb says, looking forward to this one. He's talking about Kristen's talking about the show. Evening Gents says Fahim. Mohamed Ibra, season's over, guys. We can't defend. Sunderland, I hope they go up. No ambitions, selling latte lath, not spending the money. Time for Carrick to go now. Kristen says it was 3-5-2. Patrick Wheatley, bit of a long one. Hiya, lads. Not happy at all with the result last night. I thought the first 20 minutes we were great and then fell to pieces. I think for me, if we play like that, we'll not make the playoffs. Probably got beat by Preston and Sunderland. I think we'll get beat by Sheffield United. If that's the case, I think Carrick needs to walk. What I believe is that we're not going to make the playoffs because we simply make too many mistakes. There's a lot more. We'll jump into them later, lads.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. Do you want to take a?
Points.
Tell you what, Bandy, we'll take a little quick break. We'll take a little quick break, Bandy, and what we'll do is we'll come back because we've got lots to discuss, including the Middlesbrough manager, Michael Carrick, and we'll do that next.
Boro fans, don't miss out on the event of the winter. Tony Mowbray, Craig Hignett and John Hendry all on stage together for one incredible night of banter, mickey taking and good old Boro chat. Tickets are less than 30 quid and they're going fast. The VIP meet and greet are already sold out.
I was in Eindhoven watching the cup final. I was there because I was a Boro fan.
Mogg is a legend, player, captain, gaffer, our everything.
I tell you what, he's got those latex underpants on as well, haven't you?
Johnny Hendry, our last to score at Ayrsham. And then Higgy, our first to score at the Riverside.
Oh, you look like you're in a carry-on film.
Tickets are 29 quid and are available from thepaaonline.org. That's thepaaonline.org. Don't miss out. Come and share yet another incredible night. Brought to you by The Red.
Award-winning Chatsworth Windows New Year's sale is now on. We're offering our largest ever savings on our extensive range of windows, doors, conservatories and orangeries. And you can even buy now and pay later. Call us on Northallerton 780 444 or Google Chatsworth Windows.
Chatsworth windows sparkle and shine, amazing.
Open 7 days a week.
Blazing every time.
At Teesside Car Finance, we don't just do car finance, we sell cars too. So if you need a new runaround, something sporty, a family SUV, chances are we've got it. And Teesside Car Finance help you get finance no matter your credit circumstances. For great savings on quality used cars, Teesside Car Finance always go the extra mile. Visit us today on Snowdon Road, Middlesbrough, or see teessidecarfinance.com. Representative 12.9% APR.
Hi, it's Juninho. And I'm Lucas, Juninho's son. And I'm a TT, T-Sider. You are listening to The Red.
This is The Red.
Welcome back to the Typical Boro Podcast Live. Before we went off there, we were going to discuss Michael Carrick. He's a point of contention for me at the moment on the podcast, for those of you who listen regularly. Michael Carrick, he's the definition of insanity, isn't he? I mean, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I've said this for so long, and he just, for whatever reason, he's got his football philosophy, and I get that, and he won't move for it. And I respect him a little bit for that, but it's going to the point of stupidity now. I mean, if you're playing a game of cards and you get dealt your hand, you have to use that hand and manage that hand the best you can to win the game of cards. Michael Carrick's been dealt a hand where we've got poor defenders that are poor on the ball, can't play out from the back, and for most of the season, the poor goalkeeper that can't play out from the back. Yet he's continued to persist with this playing out from the back, tick-a-tack style. I mean, what we're conceded now is 8 or 9 goals from our own individual errors this season, which is the most in the league. I think, you know, the stats that I've just read out are damning, you know, both home and collectively for the season, goals conceded. And he come out after the game yesterday, I don't know if you guys seen his quotes, he come out and was asked about the run of form, we're in 2 wins from 9. And he said he's not concerned. They asked him about, you know, the defence and the problems at the back. And he said, well, we need to be a little tighter. I mean, come on. You know, this isn't good enough. Michael Carrick's going to have to do something, isn't he? To change something within Middlesbrough's makeup to get us back into that top 6. Because, like I've just said about the definition of insanity, if he continues to continue this way, we're going to miss out, Dave, aren't we? We're going to come 9th or 10th.
We are. I mean, we're in danger of that now with a run ahead. I mean, Bristol City are not too far behind us as they're coming pretty quickly. We've got them next but one, Sheffield United. It's never easy for us going to Bramall Lane, isn't it? You know, we could go through the next handful of games and have very slim pickings to add to where we are at the moment. We've got to turn it round, and we've got to turn it round quickly. The one thing I was disappointed about losing Matt Clark, he seemed to be the only one at the back, whereas when he realised he was under pressure, he didn't mind sticking a boot through the ball. He's probably the only one, and maybe that's going against what Carrick's asking them to do. He would play it where he could, if he felt safe and secure, but he would get rid of it when he was under pressure. And how many goals would we have saved this season if somebody had put a boot through the ball? Doesn't matter how ugly it is. Doesn't matter if it went out for a corner, throw-in or whatever. You know, how many goals and how many points would we have saved doing that? It's concerning. Carrick's concerning in terms of late changes, though that was different yesterday. It was a bit earlier yesterday. Same philosophy. As Iggy said to me after the game, he went, I just can't believe it's... You know, you've got a couple of minutes left in injury time and you're still playing it across the back. You've got to get forward and you've got to try and create something. But that's typical of how we play.
Yeah. Game management, Bandy. Game management. It's poor, isn't it? I mean, even last night, at 2-2, I thought Sunderland were looking the better side second half. They looked the side that was going to finish the stronger. But you're 2-2. It's not the end of the world to come away with a draw in the Derby game. It keeps you ticking along. He could have brought Dale Fry on to shore things up and just take the point. But we kept playing the same way. A ball out of defence, they intercept it. It gets knocked outside. Down the line, for Lafee, they take on Aylan. The ball's whipped into the box. Unfortunate for Giles, it comes off him. It's in the back of the net, and it's another point thrown away, Bandy, through poor game management, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, he's so hell-bent and ingrained on this philosophy of this sort of Pep Guardiola school of football, playing out from the back. Sometimes you've got to go a bit unorthodox, you know, when you're chasing a game. Push a defender up, hit the ball long. Just try and get the opposition turned and cause panic, because like Dave's alluded to there, and he was mentioning that the Higgy said we're still stroking the ball across the back with 2 minutes to go. We're not going to get anywhere. We're never going to get back in the game. So you've got to try things. You've got to mix things up a little bit. I said about actually playing out from the back at times early season. We've still got to mix it up. Not everything has to go through midfield with these pretty circuits and pretty patterns. Hit it long if you need to. He's got a great goal with Conway when in his infancy at the club, where Aylan just hits it long, punted it in the channel. Conway got on the end of it and slashed it across goal into the bottom corner. Great finish. More of that, please. Just because it does turn the opposition. Opposition have worked us out at whatever level they are, whether they're chasing promotion or scrapping the lives for to stay up. They work us out quite comfortably. Lebris worked us out yesterday after 20 minutes. Realised that Sunderland needed to ramp up the tempo. As soon as they did that, as soon as we're under a modicum of pressure, we crumble. We panic. We don't know how to play the ball out. Everything just goes to pot, and it's not good enough. We just don't have that composure to see a full 90. And as for game management, you're spot on, Dicko. Carrick doesn't know how to arrest situations in games when it's sliding away from us. He continues to do the same thing, which is a definition of insanity. And it's great because I really like Carrick. I love his philosophy.
Yeah.
I quite like him as a person. I like the fact he's quite sure of himself. I wouldn't say arrogant. He's confident in his ability, which I like. But he doesn't seem to want to listen too much. And his comments now are slightly delusional. And you always get that impression that it could be, I'm not saying it is, it could be the beginning of the end in terms of what is coming out of his mouth after games. It's pretty boring now, and you can't really hang your hat on anything he says.
Can I ask you a question?
Say something. Yeah, of course, yeah.
An observation that came to me last night, and to feel free, and I know you will, to tell me you're way wide of the mark, Dave, but I see similarities towards the end of Karanka to what we're seeing now with Carrick. We all wanted him to learn. We want Carrick to learn. You know, make the mistakes, cost us points, lose games, but learn from it. Now, Karanka wasn't willing to do that. He was absolutely adamant there was only one way to do it. And I think we're there with Carrick, and we're saying, we love you. You know, we want you to be the Boro boss, but please learn and adapt. Put into practice what you're learning, and let's see progress. And that's not what we're seeing.
It's that stubbornness, Dave. It's that stubbornness, isn't it, that Carrick's got? It's the same as Karanka. It's my way or the highway, and I'll do it my way, and I'll be sacked my way. And as I thought Karanka was sacked for doing it his way and not learning and adapting, like you say, Dave, the same will happen to Michael Carrick if he doesn't learn and adapt. I mean, we've just brought in Kalichi Iniacho, Samuel Illing Jr., we'll talk about in a moment, who I thought looks a real talent. Mark Travers from the Premier League's come in. We've spent money on Morgan Whittaker. We've got Ben Doak at the club. If we don't make the playoffs this season with that quality in the squad, in the backing that he's had, I've went on record weeks ago saying I'd remove him and go down a different path altogether. Bandy at the moment, or he was at the moment, saying he would still give him next season. I wouldn't, because like I've just said, he showed no signs of adapting or changing. And I think if we continue next season, it'll be the same thing with another 5 new players coming in and 5 players leaving. What's your thoughts, Dave? Would you stick a twist with Michael Carrick?
And right now I'm sticking, because we've still got, I know it's a shade less, half a season left, and we're just outside the playoffs. Whether that'll be the same in half a dozen games, I'm not sure, because there's absolutely no way should we miss out on the top 6 this season. The top 4 have gone. It's probably about 8 clubs now battling for 2 places. That's what we're in now for the rest of the season, and we really need to see the Boro improve in terms of style of play, personnel, tightening at the back, not making silly mistakes, and showing that Michael Carrick's learning. Because I'm sure Steve Gibson will be saying to him now, look, I've just backed you to the hilt in the last 2 transfer windows, as far as this club can go. It's your turn to deliver, because you've had 3 years now. This is your 3rd season. This is your team. And I think we need to see some results. And there's a stat come through here from Kristen Lamb, which shocked me, because you probably know it, lads, and particularly you, Dicko, you're a bit of a stato, aren't you? 24 points dropped by the Boro from winning positions.
Yeah. I think I mentioned that last week, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah, I mentioned it last week's pod, yeah.
I mentioned something the other week, Dave, about when we score, when we go goal up or we equalise, there's normally like a 5-minute period, a 5-minute window after that where you've got to be composed, you've got to stay strong as a team, you've got to unify and ensure that the opposition do not get back at you. We're too cavalier still, too naive, too childlike in a way, where we allow the team to come straight back at us. So the goal that was effectively scored is just completely rendered useless, because the team are back in it in no time, and we saw that last night. So it's a mindset really, and we're going back to that old adage of, are there enough leaders in the team? Are they too inexperienced? Do we need a few old heads in there to calm the team down in situations? I think we do. The manager will probably say we don't, because he's again hell-bent on trusting his players. I think he puts too much trust in them, and I think a lot of the players take a lend of him because it's easy, because they know they're not going to get a good telling off. Because
has the dressing room changed that much?
Isn't good enough.
Has the dressing room changed that much that someone like Mogger would probably have you up the wall by the throat and say, "Give me 110%," because this is what you're going to face if you don't. Has the dressing room really changed? And I have talked to a couple of the lads, John Hendry, Craig Hignett, about this, and they say it has. You can't manage like the old days. You can't manage through fear. So maybe that's why we're not seeing the best. Maybe that's why we're not seeing real changes come out between the first half and the second half. I don't know. I'm just look. There's something amiss. Absolutely.
The thing is, if you don't manage through fear, you've got to find a different way of getting the message through to the players. The top managers around, whether it be Guardiola or Arteta, they seem to get the message around. They seem to get their teams firing and coming out. Not so much this season for Man City, but my point is in general, he gets a tune out the top players who are on big money, and he gets a way of motivating these top players. Michael Carrick's got to find the same way with Middlesbrough's players. They get them motivated in situations when we're struggling to come out fighting, come out scrapping for the fans, for the management team, for everybody. I mean, another stat for you, since I like my stats this season, Middlesbrough have only come from behind to win a game once, and that was against Oxford when we won 6-2, and we've only come from behind twice to draw, and that was against the South Coast teams and that awful 3-3 draw at Plymouth, and the 2-2 draw at home to Portsmouth when Conway scored the last-minute penalty. I mean, they're the only times we've come from any sort of adversity to come back and get something from a game. This is a team that's got aspirations of going to the Premier League. You're joking. We're absolutely miles off. I mean, it's only the fact that this season, barring the top 4, the league's pretty poor this year, that we're still in with a shout. Statistics show that in, years gone by, we probably wouldn't be where we are now, would be lower because of the points tally that we've got. It's ridiculous.
Got a ton of
Michael
comments
Carrick's
if you
got to
want
find
them.
that way.
Got a ton
Yes,
of
please.
comments if you want
Yes,
them.
please.
When are you going to give some tickets away tonight, Dicko?
I am. Well, I'll tell you what. What we'll do is we'll give some tickets away, and I want to talk about Kieran Scott, and we'll do that after this.
Take your taste buds on a culinary journey at Rio Brazilian Steakhouse and Tomahawk Steakhouse. Prepare for a carnival of South American flavors at Rio Brazilian Steakhouse as you dine on prime steaks cut and cooked the Brazilian way. And where can we take you on your meats journey? Find out at Tomahawk Steakhouse, home to the authentic meat connoisseurs. 2 top restaurants, 1 big choice. Which to choose first? See Rio-Steakhouse or tomahawk-steakhouse.co.uk.
You may be sleeping, but our eyes are always wide open at PSS. We're Peacock Security Shutters, and our mission is to keep homes and businesses safe and secure. We supply and install super secure roller shutters and garage doors, as well as bifold doors and shop fronts. We also offer a 24/7 emergency maintenance service for complete peace of mind. PSS, Peacock Security Shutters. Get a no-obligation quote now at peacocksecurityshutters.co.uk.
Nobody wants to be an April Fool. So here's a simple way you can avoid feeling foolish on April the 1st. All you have to do is visit SG Petch before April and buy that brand new car you've had your eye on. You see, from April the 1st, road tax on brand new cars is going up. And if you wait until after April the 1st to buy your new car, it could end up costing you hundreds of pounds more in tax a year, even if you choose a zero-emission electric car. So don't be an April Fool. Visit SG Petch before March the 31st and avoid the new car tax rise. SG Petch Middlesbrough, just off the South Bank roundabout near Taco Bell.
Hi, it's Juninho. You are listening to The Red.
This is The Red.
Hello, and welcome back to the Typical Boro podcast. I've just come back there from Juninho. That's something I never thought would happen. But right, we've got some tickets to give away, and it's courtesy of the Eston Events Centre. Ex-Boro legend and assistant manager Mark Proctor, an ex-Celtic legend Frank McAvenny. 2 tickets to see them on Thursday, the 6th of February. And what we're going to do is give them away to the best comment of the night. And I know there's lots of comments coming in, and we're going to read some out now with Dave because he's got quite a good selection for us. So come on, Dave, let's have them.
Yeah, I've got to be careful with some of the words as well. Brian Pape, nothing new. Lost another lead. Silly mistakes at the back. Keep Travis. He did well. Great in attack. This is where I've got to be careful. Absolutely terrible at the back. Patrick Wheatley says, I still say Carrick needs an experienced number 2. What do you think, lads? Can we not play out from the back? Carrick will still keep doing it. It's a joke. I think it's time for Carrick to go. I hope other people think the same. Sick of watching the same thing. Playoffs are over for me. All the teams around us are winning and we are losing. What else we got here? Carrick needs to do it now. That was Patrick again. Play 4-4-2 and we'll win games. Doak is a massive miss. He is naff. Peter Jones said, well said, Bandy. Don't know what you said, Bandy, but well said. Simon Daines said, we won't go anywhere with a defence like ours all season. We've made the same mistakes week in, week out. I personally think the season's over. This team's look like they don't want to play for Carrick now. Maybe it's time for a change. Ian Barron says, maybe it looks different from where Michael Carrick and his team stand. But I would have the team in different parts of the ground getting different views of the game. I'm sure Dave Hodgson used to do it for Darlington years ago. Mohamed Ibra, I don't want to see Rob Edwards or Steve Cooper as manager. I want to see Aitor back. Steve Trodden says, we shoot ourselves in the foot all the time when a player is 5 yards away, or passing to a player 5 yards away to player B. He can't control it. Opposition pick it up, and we're turned over time after time. The experienced players are costing us points week in, week out. And a final one from Patrick is, I really think it's time for a change at the club. with a new manager as soon as possible, please, before it's too late. I think Patrick's made his comments fairly clear about Michael Carrick.
He's not a fan.
Dave, I don't expect you to go through all the comments again, but I forget who it was who said, are the players playing for Carrick? I thought that was a really pertinent point, because the way they are playing suggests that they don't want to play the way he wants to play, hence the defence being absolutely all over the place. So I thought that was a good comment.
It is. I'm trying to find it.
I'll use the contrast with I'm going off topic slightly. Look at the state of Everton with Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
They were desperate to get rid of him. They were just playing percentage nonsense week in, week out. They weren't even having shots. They were just punting the ball long. Moyes has come in, got them playing football, 3 straight wins, climbing up the table with ease. So sometimes it does players good to refresh, the dressing room with a new face. We don't need a new manager.
We don't need to look any further than last night. I mean, look at Sunderland under Lebris. What's a change?
Yeah.
They were I wouldn't even say at 6s and 7s. They were at 60s and 70s last season. They were all over the shop. And a couple of new faces. He's brought a bit of a French contingent in, but there's been no major overhaul of that squad. And look what they're doing now.
Yeah, I seen a message on X today. I don't know how true it was. I think it was from a Sunderland fan saying that the team that beat Middlesbrough last night cost $2 million less than Morgan Whittaker, who we've just signed for $8 million. So that just puts into context that he's doing a decent job down there. It kills us to say it, but he is. Right, I'm just going to go on about Kieran Scott and get your comments on this. This was Kieran Scott on the 7th of June 2024. He said, "You can still loan, but we have to be smarter than loaning everyone's best young players who have 5 years left on their deals, and you're never going to get them back after that." And he had sort of give a little bit of a U-turn on Middlesbrough's transfer policy. So it come a little bit of a surprise to me when I seen Kelechi Iheanacho coming on loan, Samuel Illing Jr. coming on loan, Mark Travers coming on loan, Ryan Giles has come on loan, and we've got Ben Doak on loan. Is it just circumstance why those players have come in, Bandy, or is it a little bit of panic and a little bit of a U-turn by the club and Kieran Scott because we're outside the top 6?
You've took the words out of my mouth, the word panic, I think. I think the whole Latte Laugh saga, which has dragged on all season and hindered us massively, in my opinion, even though he did produce when he was actually playing. But I believe he could have given us even more. I think his head was turned early part of the season, and it took him a while to get going. Once he clicked, he was great, but then we saw that nonsense in the recent transfer window where it just dragged on and on and on. So back to your point regarding the loans, the last couple I think have been panic measures just to try and get bodies in and fill a bit of a gap. The real work, which should be pre-season, but yeah, it is what it is. The Doak loan's fantastic. He served us superbly. I'm just gutted that he's out, and like Dave says, it probably will be months rather than weeks. We're probably going to be seeing the beginning of the end of Doak's tenure on Teesside, sadly. Probably his legacy is that last goal he scored at the North Stand. Brilliant. I don't think we'll see too much more of him, sadly.
Dave, just on Kieran Scott, when he made them comments last summer, I sort of understood what he was saying, because when these players leave and they're important players to you, if you don't get promotion, you've got a huge overhaul in the summer again to replace these players. Now, if Middlesbrough don't make the top 6 or go up this year again, Samuel Illing Jr. with all the will in the world isn't going to be here next season. Mark Travers will go back to the Premier League. Ben Doak will go back to Liverpool. We've already got a long-standing problem in the midfield. Johnny Howson's probably going to retire. We've got a problem at right back. Luke Aylin's probably going to retire. It's starting to look like another big overhaul for Middlesbrough Football Club if we don't get promoted again, Dave.
Can't disagree. I think your initial question was, the change in strategy. Let's move away from loanees to bring in permanent players that we can develop and build into a strong, cohesive unit. I think Bandy's hit the nail right on the head. I think it was needs must. I think the Latte Laugh saga dragged on longer than the club probably wanted to. I think that deal was done before yesterday, I've got to be honest, but I'm not convinced it was. I don't think it was done probably at the end of last week. So I think that's something that's developed over the last 2-3 days. And then it's like, what do we do? Now, Whittaker coming in, obviously we lost Izzy. Izzy Jones went. Ben Doak's injury picked up in training during the week is obviously a major concern. Whittaker's come in. That's a bit of a gamble that he's gonna gel with Azaz like they did at Plymouth. But I think, the Ealing Juniors, the Iniachos coming in it's cover. It's needs must. There wasn't enough time for me to have a look at the marketplace and what you might have lined up had Latte Lath had done the deal 2 weeks earlier. I don't think probably those players were there then. So, yeah, it goes against what was said, but I think it was probably an absolute essential thing to do.
So has it been a good window, boys? Because have we actually got what we needed out the window to push on for that top six? So if you look at it, we've brought in Iniacho, we've brought in Ealing Junior, Travers, Giles, Edmondson, Whittaker. We've brought those to the club. Out the door's gone, obviously, Latte Lat, which, I think that was a fantastic deal finance-wise, but like Bernie Slavino says, as a supporter, I couldn't care less. I just want to see the best players on the pitch playing. Yeah. Matt Clark's gone for money. Alex Gilbert's gone on loan. Isaiah Jones gone for money. Mika Hamilton's gone on loan. So that's what's tended to happen over the January window. But have we actually got strength in the positions that were really needed? Because for me, I was wanting a midfield player to come in. I thought Dan Barlassa might have left and we might have replaced him with a midfield player. I think we're desperately short of quality in the midfield. A right back for me was needed desperately. We're still lacking a little bit of quality at centre back, in my opinion. And obviously we needed a striker, which we actually have done with Iniacho coming in. So for me, it's a little bit of a good and bad. I don't think it's a great window. It looks exciting because you brought in Samuel Ealing Jr., who's a winger, Morgan Whittaker, who's a winger. It looks exciting to the fans when you see these players signing. But Dave, was it actually what we needed?
I got excited last night when the Times ran a story late yesterday saying Boro are after Tyler Morton from Liverpool. Permanent deal. It's going to cost in excess of 10 mil. Had that one have come off, I would have been excited about this window, but it didn't. And Dom pouring cold water from the Echo's perspective, mate, saying it was too pricey for the Borough to conclude. I get that. I get football business. I understand. I think it's a brilliant piece of business letting Emmanuel Latte Lath go for potentially up to 22 million quid. I get why they've done it. So to answer your question, no, I'm not over. I'm not swinging from the rooftops, singing Borough's praises about the window. And I think that's because there's too much new talent coming too late in the window. I've still got the jury's out. I've got to go and see what Iniacho can do up front. I've got to go and see more of Ealing Jr. Looked good cutting in from the right-hand side on his left. He looks a strong boy, absolutely. I'm pleased about Travers and Giles. I think Giles is better than we've got. Absolutely, as anybody in that left-back position. I know he's suspect, but he showed yesterday getting forward with confidence and self-belief and being able to get the ball crossed in, like we used to see with Akpom rising like a salmon at the far post and putting it away. It's good to see that because we ain't got anybody like a Giles. We ain't got a left-back. I'm sorry, that, for me, can play in the Championship. So that was a good one. Travers was a good one. The rest, I've got to wait and see.
Bandy, I noticed you put on X today, and it was a great point. And a lot of people were coming in trying to see what you actually meant, which was we still haven't addressed the elephant in the room. So, from your point of view regarding the transfer window, has that elephant been addressed?
No. It's glaringly obvious what we needed, and it's been glaringly obvious all season. We continue to ship goals at a rate of knots, and that problem has not been alleviated. We've signed Edmondson, who was pretty much culpable most of the season for conceding a lot of goals, yet we've brought him back into the fold. Don't know why. We're just weak defensively, and it needed bolstering up. We needed a couple of centre-backs, an aggressor in centre midfield, whether or not he starts or he's as cover. We needed someone there. We also needed a right-back, whether or not you want to start Dyke-Steele or Ayling. We still need a proper right-back to go forward this season and into next season. Not being addressed, so no, massively underwhelmed with the transfer window. Said at the start of the season, I think it's nonsense anyway, to try and sign players within a month, halfway through the season. It's a joke. We've been left high and dry with the Latte Lath situation. Dave's just mentioned about the risks with these loan players. It's almost like a bit of window dressing. We've got these fancy players that can play up front, but we've got hundreds of them. Goal scoring hasn't been too much of a problem. It's behind the goal scoring situation, which is a massive worry, and it'll continue to be a worry because the players are not good enough. But thankfully, we've got a keeper in who looks deputable, far better than what we've got. So I'm happy with Travers. The new guy on the right wing, Sammy Illy Jr.
Illing Jr. Yeah.
He looked quite promising when he came on, but I'd need to see him over 3 or 4 games. But he looks quite strong. He looks direct. He looks like he wants to take players on, which is refreshing. So that bodes well. But we've still got the same problems. If we had Messi, Suarez, and Neymar up front, we would still ship 3 goals. So.
Yeah, but we'd win 4-3, Bandy. Come on.
Sorry?
I says we'd win 4-3 though, so it'll be all right.
I'm not sure.
Right. I'm not going to cheer us up anymore here by saying this, but we've got a free week now, which is fine. We get the players a chance to settle in, get a couple of injuries back and what have you. However, after that, we're then going to go into a Wednesday night game on the 12th of February against Chris Wilder's Sheffield United away. Then we've got Watford on the Saturday at home, followed by Bristol City away and Stoke away. So 3 of the next 4 are away from home. Things aren't going to get better quickly, in my opinion, Bandy, no?
No, but how can you see that they will? Because nothing's changed. We're still going into these games with the same problems. We concede far too many goals. I don't think he's going to change system. If he did, it might arrest the slide. Last season he went to a 3 at the back, like a 3-5-2 system, which served us well in some pivotal games. The Chelsea game, Leicester away. I think it was Leicester at home as well. We played that system. It probably suited the players more, but it doesn't suit Carrick. He's hell bent on this system and he's not going to change it. And his stubbornness will eventually undo him. So if he doesn't change, then he's in big trouble, whether it's this season or next. If he lasts till the start of next season, I'm sure Gibson will be looking to hook him by around October, which he normally does, when he lets a manager start another season.
That's even worse, though, isn't it? When you start to do it during the season, it's just another season of change and transition. It doesn't work for me. If you are going to hook a manager, for me, it should be done in the summer, not 2 or 3 months into the season. Dave, just going to put you on the spot because we've got a free week and the transfer window is closed. As a guesstimate, as a long-time Middlesbrough suffering supporter, what's your mind and your heart thinking this season? Are we going to make the playoffs, Dave, or is it going to be another season of missing out under Michael Carrick?
You've seen Miracle on 34th Street, or whatever it's called, haven't you? The Christmas movie with I Believe buttons. I was wearing that up until last night. Now I'm concerned. I really was. The ups and downs, the yo-yo, the slings and arrows of being a Boro fan, all that sort of stuff. We take it in our stride, don't we? Because we know we never do anything easy. We are the masters of grabbing, what is it? Defeat from the jaws of success.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm now worried. I was worried last night. I went into the Sunderland game and I actually said on air, look, it's heart and head time. My head was telling me we're going to lose. My heart wouldn't allow me to say that out of my mouth. I'm now concerned. We've brought some fresh talent in. We're going to be typical Boro fans. Should call a podcast something after that. We're going to look. We're going to look at this new wave of talent. Can Iheanacho, hit the ground running and score us 15 goals for the remainder of the season and become an absolute legend on Teesside, a bit like Yakubu. We hope, we pray. Is it going to happen? Likely not. But we could find ourselves in trouble within the next 4 or 5 games. That's my biggest fear. Go to Sheffield United and get turned over. Bristol City do us. I mean, come on, fellas. You start that run like that and suddenly you're going to be looking up with 8 teams above us with only 2 places to grab between us. And that's my concern.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Bandy,
you've got the same concerns?
I've got the concerns for Coventry City, actually. The way Lampard's just took them by the horns.
They're climbing.
4 straight wins, 5 straight wins, I believe.
Yeah.
3 points behind us, come
And
out
we
of
get-
nowhere.
and we can never beat them.
They've got momentum. They'll tick along comfortably to the end of the season. They could be that team that sneaks in sixth spot on the last game of the season, just as an example. But Norwich are up there, Bristol City are up there. So, like Dave correctly says, we were nicely cemented in them positions, 4th, 5th, 6th, for quite a while, and we got complacent, and teams have caught us up now. So, welcome to the world of mediocrity, I say.
Great question coming for you guys from Paul Davies, just before you start wrapping up, Dicko. Would you have not preferred Adam Armstrong over Iniacho? Apparently we were offered him yesterday before West Brom.
100%.
It was financial, wasn't it? It was financial. An interesting story I heard of that was he was actually offered to Middlesbrough and Sunderland. And because he's a big Newcastle fan and Alan Shearer as his hero, he point blank refused to actually talk to Sunderland and just said, "You're joking. I couldn't possibly sign for you." But I think Middlesbrough had an opportunity to sign him, but financially the numbers didn't add up for Middlesbrough. And obviously we took Iniacho because it's a loan. We've got an option to sign him in the summer if he does well. If he doesn't do well, we can go elsewhere. So you never know, that might be one we could revisit in the summer, depending on Adam Armstrong and how he does at West Brom. But we've got that competition, Dave. Bandy, what was your favourite comment of the night to win the 2 tickets to see Mark Proctor and Frank McAvenny?
As I mentioned today before, I can't remember the name, but the guy who mentioned
Simon Daines. Simon Daines.
Simon
Daines. Well done, Simon. Great question. Probing question. They're the ones that I like. Are the players happy playing for Carrick? I suspect not. Some are. Too many aren't, I would say, because of the system. They can't play it. He's either making them look useless or they are useless. It's a combination of both. But at the back, it's got to change quickly because we're going nowhere.
Okay, guys, we'll have to wrap up for another night. So I thank you both for coming on. Dave, Bandy, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, mate.
Good fun.
Well done on your first live. Well done.
No bother. And as I always say, every podcast, remember, Middlesbrough fans, don't say typical Boro. Watch it, listen to it, and we'll see you again soon. Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
On DAB radio, online and smart speakers. This is The Red News.
The mother and sister